Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Declan Rice has agreed to join Arsenal and snubbed Bayern Munich. Bayern are now leaning towards Sofyan Amrabat, who is seen as a more likely target to join them this summer, other than Declan Rice, who is already keen on a move to Arsenal. And Mikel Arteta, according to Tom Canton from Football.London, Mikel Arteta wants two signings, Rice and Moises Caicedo, early in the transfer window. It shouldn't drag out. By the end of July, Moises Caicedo and Declan Rice should be Arsenal players if they are going to be part of his squad next season. We're going to be talking about West Ham because they have already identified replacements for Declan Rice, and they have already communicated the decision to bring in new signings, despite the fact that Rice has not yet left. They feel Arsenal will match their ambition of £100 million, and that's therefore they're looking at players already with Joao Palhinha, Edson Alvarez, and Sofyan Amrabat already being talked about. Of course, Arsenal are looking at a couple of new youngsters from the Brazilian market. Pedrinho, a 17-year-old forward from Corinthians, Vitor Roque, and Marcos Leandro are all players we're looking at from the Brazilian market as well. And Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Ivan Fresneda is actually leaning towards Borussia Dortmund, and Borussia Dortmund have been leading the race for Ivan Fresneda since January. So it's highly likely that Arsenal will not sign Ivan Fresneda this summer. He might be going to Borussia Dortmund. Hit the like button for me, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let's have the conversations. I have a big question for you in this video. Now, there is a debate going on about Arsenal and Manchester United, and literally it's about who has had a better season. Man United fans have claimed that because they have played two finals, that's the FA Cup final and the Carabao Cup final, literally it means they have a better season than Arsenal, who have amassed an 84 points. That's kind of a record in its own. But then also, we have scored 88 goals. We have finished second. We have been on top of the table for 248 days, in the Premier League last season. Man United and Arsenal, who have had a much better season. Arsenal, of course, we have to factor into the fact that Man United did spend more money than Arsenal last summer, spending over 200 million on players that maybe flopped, maybe actually worked out. That's their problem. But who has had a better season, right? I want your thoughts. I want your comments in the comment box below. I think Arsenal, in my opinion, for me, we can be very proud of the season we've had. Yes, we didn't win the Premier League, but we must be very proud of the season we had, especially in our rebuild process, especially in the trajectory that we are actually going. We've had a very, very good season. And I could even claim that Manchester United, despite the fact that they played a final in the UEFA, the Carabao Cup final, I still think Arsenal had a much better season than Manchester United. If they had won maybe the Europa League, that could have changed the conversation. But just the Carabao Cup, I still feel Arsenal had a better season. But let me know in the comment box below. Let's have that conversation right about now. Right, let's get into the conversations. Now, first and foremost, Arsenal are now very, very advanced on Declan Rice, with Bayern Munich walking away. They believe that this deal is no longer doable for them. And Alex Crook has just confirmed, according to TalkSport, that West Ham's Declan Rice is very keen on joining Arsenal this summer, with the Gunners set to launch a bid. Crook says despite interest from Germany, Declan Rice is very keen on a move to Arsenal and does not see himself playing for Bayern Munich. The Gunners will make a 90 million bid for Declan Rice in the coming days, with Mikel Arteta wanting to wrap up the deal as soon and quickly as possible. That is according to Alex Kirk from the TalkSport. Now, listen. I think the argument between Rice and Arsenal was always bound to happen. It was always going to happen. You look at all these big sources from The Guardian to The Athletic. David Ornstein was speaking about him yesterday on Rio Ferdinand's channel, The Five. And he was saying that you look at what Arsenal have done, they're the club that have put in the most work. They're the club that have, convinced the player, convinced the father of the player. And I've also talked to West Ham, given them the respect they demand. But they've always been there around this situation, digging, scratching, and getting their hands dirty, while the likes of Bayern have been sitting out there, just waiting to see how the situation is going to pan out, the likes of Chelsea and the likes of Manchester United. So according to Alex Cook, the player is already sold and already set on a move to Arsenal. We've done a lot of work with him. We've done a lot of convincing to Declan Rice. It is highly unlikely that a deal at this point in time will actually fall through. So listen, I think you look at Rice and you look at Bayern and you don't see a relationship for now and for the future. Declan Rice is potentially, after Harry Kane, is going to be England's captain. And I reckon it will happen. He's going to be the new captain for England, all right? And for you to consolidate your position in that England squad, in that English squad, you need to be playing somewhere huge, right? Now, the German Bundesliga is a big league, one of the top 5 in Europe, and also Bayern is a massively bigger club than Arsenal, especially in terms of winning a silverware. So if he wants to go and win the German Bundesliga every single season, that is where he's supposed to go. But if you want the real competition, if you want the real football, it just happens at Arsenal. I'm sorry, Bayern. Declan Rice has just seen through the curtains, just seen through the lights, just seen through the facade that is German football. You can't have one champion for 11 years. There is no competition there. And although people have said Bayern makes Rice better for England, I don't think. Look, I think the mentality at Bayern is top notch, and Arsenal need to be working towards that. You look at players like Kimmich and how they've evolved into great players. Toni Kroos, the likes of Bastian Schweinsteiger, Iron Robben, and the legends that have played at the Allianz Arena, absolutely magnificent. But for me, the fact that they win the league 11 seasons in a row, it's shambolic. It's purely shambolic. So Declan Rice has agreed to join Arsenal over Bayern Munich. There is nothing like personal terms agreed here. There is nothing like West Ham and Arsenal have agreed. It's just a verbal agreement that Arsenal now own Declan Rice. We are leading this race and we are very, very much confident. But of course, DiMarzio today in the morning I say that Bayern won't back down from the situation of signing a new defensive midfielder, and now they'll be looking at Sofyan Amrabat from Fiorentina. Now, if you did watch that video, that final, actually, not video, but final of Fiorentina and West Ham, I think Sofyan Amrabat, to be honest, was the much better player on the evening. He was very, very good. And I think any club that will sign Sofyan Amrabat will have gotten themselves a very, very good player on their hands. I'm hearing Barcelona, I'm hearing West Ham, and I'm also hearing Bayern right about now, according to DiMarzio in Italy. I think Bayern have now seen it. You want to go for a more realistic target. It's always happened with Arsenal. I mean, it's a day-to-day business in the transfer window. You always want players that don't want you. You always want players that are a little bit more ambitious than the German Bundesliga, or more ambitious than the Europa League when Arsenal were playing in the Europa League, all right? So for me, Sofyan Amrabat is such a very likely and a very, very good target for Bayern. They have Joshua Kimmich in there, so Sofyan Amrabat, and then maybe Goretzka if he's gonna stay. Maybe Ryan Gravenberch. This is gonna be his his season to shine. We do not know at the moment. And the likes of Sane in that team. Sofyan Amrabat is a nice player, and I've heard from his agent directly that he's not expected to join a mediocre club, and mediocre club meaning West Ham. So he's the feeling within the camp at Sofyan Amrabat is that they want to sign a player, and they want to sign for a club that is top bins, a club that is in the UEFA Champions League, Of course, Barcelona already talking about him, and they've been, trying to sign him since January, since after the World Cup. Liverpool have tried to sign him since after the World Cup. I don't know what happened, to the deal. I still think Liverpool should be looking in that direction. But it's a more doable deal. It's a much better deal. From Fiorentina to Bayern, that is quite the trajectory the player wants. And Bayern, you want a solid defensive midfielder. He's your guy. Trust me, he is your guy. So Bayern moving towards Sofyan Amrabat and feeling this deal is impossible to do with Declan Rice just allows Edu and Mikel Arteta a lot of time and a lot of freedom to negotiate with West Ham. I think the advantage here is that Arsenal will not have the potential huge bidding war that was expected maybe a couple of weeks ago. Okay. I doubt Chelsea are serious. I doubt Manchester United are really serious. And David Ornstein was saying that there is some conversations. There have been some conversations in the corridors that Manchester City might be interested in Declan Rice, but he said it's always going to be there, right? That threat, that talk of Manchester City is always going to be there for clubs to try to get the most out of the sale of a player. But at the moment, what we understand, there might not be interest from more than 2 or 3 genuine clubs. It could be Arsenal, Bayern, who are willing now to walk away, Chelsea, who do have Enzo Fernandez, are not willing to spend, the likes of 90 million on Deckers as well. So let's wait and see where that one is going to go. But at the moment, it's looking very, very likely for Edu, for Mikel Arteta, that they will get their top man. Now, Tom Canton has said that Arsenal and Mikel Arteta, of course, they want to sign Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo early in the transfer window. It's not going to drag out. Mikel Arteta would not want these deals to drag out. He doesn't want to go into August without either Moises Caicedo or Declan Rice. Now, what I understand at the moment is that Arsenal have already prepared a bid since January for Declan Rice, and this is 92 million rising to 100 million. We are also set to bid 75 million for Moises Caicedo, and this bid already has been sent in January. So we are going to rebid for Moises Caicedo, and we are also looking at 92 million pounds rising to 100 for Declan Rice. Tom says that Mikel Arteta wants these deals done as quickly, as early as possible. There is a possibility that we will face some friction and some competition, but that will not deter Arsenal and Mikel Arteta from trying to do these deals as early as possible. Now, of course, the importance of doing deals early is one, by the time the market becomes ridiculously, crazy, Jude Bellingham has signed for 103 million euros. That's around 90 million pounds, all right? If Rice is going to go for 90 million pounds as well, you don't want another big sell to happen before you sign Rice, right? Just imagine if before we sign Rice, another youngster is signed for 100 million pounds. West Ham will feel, well, this is doable, this is possible. We can command around 110 million pounds from the sale of Declan Rice. So for me, in the end, it's still it is what it is. Arsenal need to do these deals early. It's the right right strategy. It's the right way to do things. And of course, you need to have that pre-season because you have the Emirates Cup, you have the Community Shield, and you also have to prepare for the beginning of the Premier League as quickly as we can. So deals should be done very early, according to Mikel Arteta, and there is a lot of optimism around Arsenal that these deals are going to happen as quickly as they come. Okay, so according to what I've seen, replacements for Rice are in place, and also Brighton are already looking at replacements for Moises Caicedo. We are talking about Sofyan Amrabat. We are talking about Joe Palhinha and Edson Alvarez. So West Ham feel that although there is, there's going to be some time before Declan Rice and the deal get completed, there is no turning back from this one. Arsenal are 100% fully committed, and they will pay up the money, right? So they've already started looking at replacements. They've gone into the market. Joao Palhinha is the recent and most latest name on the list. Now, look, I love Joao Palhinha. I think Fulham will not sell to West Ham. There's no question. Fulham finished, in a much better position than West Ham, unless Joao Palhinha is looking at UEFA Europa League football. But apart from that, I don't see Joao Palhinha after one season moving to West Ham. But that again is a very, very wonderful shout. 27 years of age, turning 28, best defensive midfielder in the Premier League in terms of very, very many metrics this season. I think it would be a very, very interesting shot. But like David Sullivan said, Declan Rice is not a player you replace with one signing. They will have to sign maybe two, maybe Edson Alvarez and Palhinha, maybe Joao, maybe Joao Palhinha and Amrabat, right? Maybe two players, maybe two signings to replace Declan Rice. But the trajectory is much positive for them and much positive for Arsenal as well. Okay, finally, Arsenal are looking at a few youngsters from the Brazilian market. Pedrinho at Corinthians is one of them. 17-year-old, young forward is one of the players that are looked at as the new Gabriel Martinelli. Look, he's 17. And of course, Martinelli also came in at about the same age. It is believed that the good relationship Edu has in the Brazilian market will help us get these deals done. Marcos Leandro is the other player, youngster that we're looking at, and also Vitor Roque. Yesterday, Xavi was talking about Vitor Roque and Barcelona, and he said we have the situation in control, right? And he said it will depend on our finances, but we have the situation in control, and we will see whether to sign him or not. So should Arsenal wait? Probably, but it looks like Vitor Roque is also another interesting name that everyone is talking about in Brazil. Now, Dortmund are leading the race to sign Ivan Frasneda since January, according to Fabrizio Romano. If anything develops on those stories, I'll definitely give you a hint.